Grounded to center field and hit well. Lee is on the move, and Lee, it's off the top of the wall, and Lee is hurt.
Well, he jumped up. He may have landed on the top of the fence, and if that's the case, it could be a separation. Let's take a look at the brilliant effort from Jung-Hoo Lee. Watch the elbow catching the chain links coming down. Actually, it was the pad that jarred his shoulder.
It's the Guru Steiny Guru Steiny Guru Steiny show. Let's go.
Evan Giddings in for Matt Steinmetz. He'll be back tomorrow, hopefully in a good mood. How do you think he shot this weekend?
By the looks of the text, I'm going to say high 90s.
Wasn't feeling too confident about himself?
Yeah.
I mean, look, you're out in Eastern Washington.
Why did he say who it was?
It was so beautiful out there. Now it's foggy here in the Bay Area after it was a gorgeous, Thursday, Friday, a little bit of Saturday. Do you have a chance to see the Northern Lights, by the way? I know that's been circulating.
No.
Did you, Spino?
That's fake news. I don't believe the Northern Lights you could see from Cleveland, Ohio.
Dude, I'm like, wow.
No, seriously.
I didn't.
There was a geometric storm or something along those lines. Spino, it was real.
So Eclipse Part 2, we had an Eclipse Part 2?
No. So an eclipse is a little bit different. So the geometric storm, there's like these little pulses that kind of fire out. They create this pattern of light in the sky.
Okay.
An eclipse is when the sun and the moon converge. So it creates, in the case of the total eclipse, it creates unequivocal darkness for like 30 seconds.
So go ahead,
yeah,
Adam.
exactly.
Yeah. I know they're different, but when was this? When would I have seen
the
it?
Northern Lights?
Yeah.
This weekend.
What time? Or just
it would have been like 10 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Oh yeah, your boy.
Wait, you seriously didn't see people posting pictures of this?
No.
Oh my God.
No.
Well.
No, but we're two peas in the pod today, Evan.
Yes, we are. Actually, I do have something on that in a little bit because you know me like the back of your hand. I swear to God.
We're brothers. Shout out Nancy. I hope she had your mom. I remember names.
She did have a great Mother's Day.
There you go.
She didn't pick up the call though. When I called her like 4 times yesterday, she didn't pick up.
No, you're kidding.
No, I swear to God. If she's listening, I don't hold it against you, Mom.
I'm out.
But I did want to talk to you and at least wish you a happy Mother's Day.
Evan, you couldn't get her on the horn?
No, she was busy. She had plans. She's more busy than I am.
Well, good for your mom.
I was working all weekend. Yeah.
Dude, we're going to play your call. You had a walk-off call. I'm so proud. Just remember me, whatever team you go work for, me and the kids need tickets.
No, sorry. Geomagnetic storm, not geometric. Apologize. Thank you, 415.
Daryl?
888-957-9570 is the number. We'll also get to your call in Pittsburgh yesterday on Mother's Day. But let's get out to Chico, talk to Big Al. Wants to get on our discussion. We're talking about the San Francisco Giants as they start their series tonight against the Dodgers. A barometer series, in my opinion. What's going on, Big Al? How are you? You're on 95.7 The Game.
Oh, great, guys. Thanks for taking my call. I want to talk about, the Jung-Hoo Lee injury. It seems like it's going to be a pretty bad injury. And I think now's the time that the Giants should make a trade and maybe try to get that guy from Oakland, Ruiz. I think he'd fit in great, on our team. And, center field's going to be a glaring, problem if Lee's out for like the whole season or something like that. And, I'm done with Slater. So I think it's going to be a major concern, But that's my call. I really appreciate you guys, and hopefully the Giants could turn it around.
Starts tonight.
It does.
Got your rival.
All you can do is win games against who's in front of you. I'm not sure it's going to be against the Dodgers, but maybe they're able to shock us, Goo.
Yeah, no doubt. And I'm not a comedian, Evan. I don't try to be, but I've had thoughts. But can any of the youngsters play any worse than Austin Scholarship Slater? Like, that's what I would call them in a room and say, hey guys, you can play no worse than this. And I'm picking Slater out because right now it's not going his way, Evan. So, you could get Wally pipped, and hopefully that's what happens is now these kids come up and get some traction. But as far as center field, Matos could play center field.
Well, yeah, but you're not getting Wally pipped by Lou Gehrig. You're getting Wally pipped by Chuck Knobloch, or like you're getting Wally pipped by a 4A outfielder. I think that's where a lot of people are at in regards to Slater itself. But the one thing that does concern me, Goo, not necessarily about the Giants and their record. It's young, but we're getting there to the point where the sample sizes do matter. And the fact that this offense has been as anemic as it is, I think the pitching staff has also underperformed, but they've been banged up a bit. The bullpen's been a little bit more shaky than I expected this year. The real reason why I would be concerned about this Giants team is because they quickly are losing interest, I think, with the fan base. And that's, again, a place where they've been for the better part of 5 years. It's the same conversation of, well, how do they get back into the news cycle? How do they get back into people's homes? Well, they did it by spending money this offseason, and they were rewarded. For example, I'll just go through the 3 weekend home series that they've had, right?
Give them to me.
Because we now got, 9 games to pick from. Friday through Sunday, when you're supposed to draw the most. How are you doing? All right, first weekend, opening weekend, there was buzz. There was excitement, right?
It's a party.
They drew 40,000. They sold out 3 straight games. That's what you want. That's what you want to see. That's where you're starting, right? The last weekend, late April, I think the Pirates were in town, Friday through Sunday. 36,000.
I'll take that.
It's not bad.
Right.
Still a little bit of a dip. This most recent weekend against the Reds, 35,000. So it's slowly trending down. The interest in the Giants, I believe, is gradually waning. And if they remain about 500 or below, it's not going to get any better. That's another reason why I think people want to see the kids and why I think they should be given some time to fail, because there has to be something interesting about this team. And at the very least, if it's not going to be wins and losses, it's got to be something new. It's got to be something of promise, and it's got to be something that you can at least envision a part of the future about.
Yeah, no, man, you told no lies. And I'll say this, nothing's worse to me for a regime to spend money on multiple players, Evan, get them in here, get excited. You read the press clippings. It looks like on paper it should work. You got a competent new manager in Bob Melvin. And for the majority of this early young season, the results haven't been there. And the questions are, why? Why is this not happening? And I know at the end of the day, the managers don't hit, the GMs don't hit, but it's been disappointing from a Giant perspective as far as production. And you watch them in every game, I'm like, okay, today will be the game. They score 5 or 6 runs. Okay, that'll bleed into tomorrow. And it hasn't happened. But I got to give the fans their love on those numbers you just recited. And what did you tell me last week, Goo? When you look at all of baseball, they were 11th. I know that's not 5th or 4th, but maybe by default, this is what has the family of 4 getting in the car to say, hey, let's go out on a Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening and watch the Giants because of the young pups. That could be a stretch, E, because the reality to me is just looking at the standings and talking about, hey, Giant fan, give me some good news. Well, I got some. You got 142 games left. You got 120 left. You're 8 back. You get swept starting tonight by the Dodgers and that machine leaves here and you guys are 11 games out. Well, already we know the biggest dreamer can't tell you, or might be able to tell you, the division's already, that ship has sailed. Now it's about wild card city. And Evan, at the end of the day, it becomes, who do you blame? Do you blame Bo Mill because on paper it looks like you got talent and it's not meshing? Then you could have Giant fan come in and say, well, that's why guys were stashed in Sacramento when we were told or sold that these youngsters were ready to go. And I just find it ironic, and hopefully it's a good ironic, that all of them are kind of up now. And I can tell you, Schmidt's probably going to play tonight. Matos is going to play. You know, like, that excites me, but they got to go out there and do what you're talking about, stack wins. And this will be the umpteenth time again, not to be redundant, that they've had a chance to win 3 in a row, and they just can't get it done.
But that's why the road trip was so disheartening. I don't view individual games, perhaps moments are important that you can draw from, but you got to look at baseball in series. I mean, that's why you play 3 or 4 in a row, is because you got to see over the course of 3 or 4 days who the better team is. The Giants could win tonight. They could beat the Dodgers. Maybe they walk off tonight. It's a great win. Dodgers come back, bludgeon them tomorrow 12-0. What are we talking about?
Yeah.
You got to take series. And that's why this weekend was important from that standpoint. You got a walk-off win. You steal the series from Cincinnati. Okay, the series before, you took 2 of 3 from Colorado. You got to continue to stack series wins. A big reason why they're in the position they argue is because they have not been able to consistently put performances together, both at the plate and on the mound, or perhaps even in the field. Matt Chapman went 1 for 15 in the series against Philadelphia, made 3 errors. That's a bad series. Even though he came back this weekend, had a couple of hits, grand slam on Saturday, big knock yesterday. That's what there needs to be more of over the course of time. You can't have 4 terrible games, back it up with 2, and then revert back to playing as poorly as he did before.
No doubt. I work with a wordsmith. You're young. I put you in that category. Shout out Steiny, wordsmith. Evan, if I were asking you to describe where the Giants are today going into tonight's game, with the health being, the Red Cross being what it is, what word would you come up with about the direction of this, just how you're feeling about what's at stake in the next 10 games?
In the next 10 games, I am looking to see how the young players perform, because that to me is what I have to evaluate your developmental staff on, of what your farm system is and what they're going to be. Because again, when you have injuries, and there's 4 or 5 of which right now, just to position players, nevertheless pitchers, you need guys that are going to step up and fill in for them that can help you win. You can't fall off a cliff you're already teetering on just because young players are coming up. So if you're asking me what I'm watching the next 10 games, I am watching the Casey Schmidts, the Luis Matoses, the Elliot Ramoses. I'm watching young players to see how far they are along. Because if they're not far enough, and if they get exposed, and if they're in positions to where they can't help the Giants, well, then I have nobody else to look at than the person that brought them in, traded for them, just trying to groom them, drafted them, and that's Farhan Zaidi. If he's had 5 or now 6 seasons to present a farm system that can be one that can at the very least soften a blow of the amount of injuries that you've taken to your starting 9. If you can't have players in place that can do that, that's on you.
You have the ingredients for this to get real ugly and louder for Farhan. And Evan, correct me if you think I'm wrong. I think he's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. You just talked about it. If these youngsters look overwhelmed and look not ready, that's already, that's bad. But then if they kind of excel or overachieve, it's almost like, well, what took so damn long? And then the right on the table again is, what happens when everybody's healthy? Do you send them back to SAC? So there's so much at play. The ingredients for this to get ugly as far as a standing component and what your goals are and what you're trying to achieve, because you just said it earlier, there's no way in hell the Giants can have a good season and not at least be a wild card team. I mean, you went and used that credit card. You used it the way you did. You made those purchases on the items that you thought would help this team, and you don't have a 9th life. I feel like it's go time, and it starts tonight against the Dodgers.
Well, and taking a look at the wild card, I mean, it's not anything. You're not looking at standings at this point, but they're not a team. I'm looking at who's in front of them. So obviously the Dodgers, the Padres,
the Diamondbacks.
All those are teams that are right now also with ideas of making the postseason. If you're not the Dodgers, you're looking at wild cards.
And Braves.
Braves right now. I mean, there are some good teams in the National League, but I still don't think it's an excuse for the Giants not to make the postseason this year. With the amount of money that they invested, and that was the final thing, the final wall that had yet to be kicked down. All right, free agents, can you get a few? You went out and got people to take your money. You spent a whole hell of a lot of it. I think the second most dollars of any team not named the Los Angeles Dodgers. So if money's not going to solve your problems, it's got to be internal. And we've already had enough evidence in my mind that that's not going to be the case immediately. So how can these players step up? How can these players help you win some games? And are they going to be exposed against Los Angeles? I mean, Yamamoto's freaking good, Goo.
Yeah, no doubt.
This guy is absolutely electric.
I'm laughing, but yeah,
he's going to embarrass some hitters tonight if they don't show up.
But their whole roster is an embarrassment of riches, and that's why I think this is a great test. But Evan, I want to take a second and give some credit to Lamont Wade Jr., Baltimore, Maryland's finest. I thought, you know what? I put him in the category of Slater and Yaz early on, or just coming into the season. Like, you know what, Evan? I'm kind of bored. And that kind of made me look at the youngsters and want to see them right away. But he muscled a 2-run homer yesterday. It was big to get them in a position to come back. He's batting .340. 2 home runs, 14 RBIs, and again, he's not perfect, but I think he's a guy these youngsters can look at and say, not he's one of us, but he's basically come out of nowhere. And Evan, where would this Giant team be without him? So I need to step back and give him kudos because I went in on him early. And Evan, right now, he's arguably your best player.
He is.
And I don't know if
he's your best hitter.
Okay, your best hitter.
He's your best position player right now. No, Lamont Wade's a good hitter. I know people aren't that excited about him, but I saw a dude turn on 95 above the zone yesterday.
I thought it was foul.
That's impressive.
Yes, sir.
He's a good hitter. Can you get another one?
Right.
Or can you get another guy to perform like
2,
one?
3.
Lamont Wade's the only hitter that I think that actually commands a strike zone with any form of consistency.
Wow.
And that's really their biggest issue on both sides. If you look at how many batters they strike out as a pitching staff versus how many they walk, it's not great. The ratio's not very high in relation to the rest of the league. If you look at their offense and the amount of times they strike out versus the amount of times they walk, they don't command the strike zone. You're going to see a Dodgers team tonight in the next 3 days that owns the strike zone.
Yeah.
That strike zone is theirs. They do not swing at pitches outside of it, and they bash pitches. They do damage on pitches inside of it. There's not enough players on the Giants right now that do that. And that's something you can't necessarily cure, but I also think that there's room for growth. For example, someone like Matt Chapman. Matt Chapman still hits the ball harder than the top 5% of the league. Well, can you stop chasing some pitches outside of the zone? Can you not swing and miss? Can your chase rate be below 35%? Can you lay off a breaking ball in the dirt? Casey Schmidt on line 1. I think the reason why he was able to get a walk-off hit yesterday
Go ahead.
is because Sims missed with a fastball down the heart. Everything else was off the plate and he was swinging at.
No, good call, and he made him pay. But it sounds like what you're describing, Evan, is approach. And, tell me what you think here. When you talk about a team-wide approach, that falls on not on Melvin, on the hitting coach. Like, maybe, what they're instructing is wrong, but when you see it team-wide, there's an infection. So I'm just wondering if that's where we start and we start hearing more noise if we don't see guys at the dish start to have better results in Giant uniforms at the plate.
888-957-9570 is the number. Evan Giddings in for Matt Steinmetz. He'll be back tomorrow off his golf trip. In with Daryl the Guru Johnson. We got Mason Miller. Talking about electricity, talking about players to watch. I think this guy is it. Not just in the Bay Area, he plays for the Oakland A's, but also around baseball. There's no one else that has thrown as many pitches as hard as he does. He is appointment pitching, and he's going to join us at 12 o'clock here on 95.7 The Game. But let's get out to San Leandro and talk to Jonathan about the San Francisco Giants. What's going on, Jonathan? How are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Hey.
Awesome.
Hey, Goo, I just wanted to talk about Mr. Late Night, man. When I walk into, I almost called it AT&T Park. Excuse me for dating myself. Oracle yesterday. You took moms, took wifey out there yesterday. I'm wearing my Late Night jersey, and we're walking, and I see Lamont's up there, and boom, like you said, Guru, he hits it. There's just something about Lamont. We can't give up on our boy. And like you said, I like Stremski. I like the others, but there's just something about Late Night, and I was so glad to see him pull it through. And then to see the walk-off on extra innings on Mother's Day, talk about torture base. One thing that I was worried about is I'm a Dodgers fan, and boy, am I worried about this series like you guys are.
And you should be. And Evan, you talked about it. They're good. They got it all, and yeah, we'll see how it manifests tonight. But late night Lamont, I'm gonna start calling him that again. Evan, he's got an attitude about him. He's got a bravado, like he belongs, or one of those things that I always talked about the Hall of Famer Gary Payton, different sports. As good as Gary Payton was, he was a Hall of Famer, Evan. He thought he was better than that, and I think that helps. And I get that from Lamont Wade Jr., man.
Lamont's he's a professional hitter. Like he understands what he is good at. You talk about approach, and this is why I don't think you can blame the hitting coach. And
Pat Barrow, I was going to.
I personally don't.
Saying, Evan.
I personally don't believe in blaming the assistant coaches. It'd be like saying the Warriors are bad on defense. Let's blame Ron Adams. Like, you need your players to play better. You need your hitters to hit better. What's up, Spadone?
More like blaming Steve Wilkes, right, for the Super Bowl loss.
I Got to tell you, I'm built for this.
I didn't know where you're going with that. That was a 3 for the impression.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. But
that was your Wilkes.
What about the piece? It was Grant Brisbee last weekend, I believe, talked about the Giants hitters have taken more fastballs down the middle. And I know, Evan, the game is about patience, but collectively, if Pat's telling them, hey, do more of that, and when the Giants do swing the bats, they're up there with the likes of the Braves and Dodgers. Again, Evan, I'm not saying fire Pat, but maybe that's something where, you know what, we're in a funk. If you see something, swing at it. It might be the best pitch of the at-bat you get. So, again, I'm not Rod Carew, but when I read reports like that to where the team collectively is letting a lot of, meatballs go down, you're watching, attack early.
I mean, I think in general, the quality of an at-bat largely points to how many pitches. I mean, if you're getting deep into counts, if you're 2-2, if you're 3-2, if you're getting more than 4 pitches per at-bat, I think you're working. The Giants they have too many quick outs. They have too many easy outs in the lineup right now. Lamont Wade, I think, is a perfect example. Even though sometimes he'll stare at a pitch down the middle, he'll leave one. He's comfortable hitting with 2 strikes. He's comfortable shortening up. Yeah. He's comfortable. Like, he's not a guy that strikes out a lot. But you just don't have enough of those players. I don't think Lamont Wade is someone that jumps off your screen, but I really enjoy watching him hit. I don't know who else on this team right now is appointment hitting.
Wow.
There's some appointment pitchers. I want to see Hicks tonight.
Harrison.
I think he's electric.
Yeah, gave up 3.
Kyle Harrison
got back on the horse.
He's inconsistent, but at least he's young and he's promising. I mean, he hit the first bat of the game yesterday. He was all over the place.
I thought he broke a digit.
But in Colorado, he was spectacular, and that's not easy to do at elevation. But I think with the Giants right now, there's just nothing that you can kind of grasp that I'm going to expect to carry over night to night, except for someone like perhaps Lamont Wade Jr.
Yeah, and here I am in my mind, Evan, thinking about who they lost, Chung-Hoo Lee, Conforto, never known to steal a base, not that he can't. And I wonder, will we see more of Melvin and the Giants offense try to manufacture runs? I could be totally wrong, Evan, but can we see some of these youngsters maybe get on the base path and go Ricky Henderson and try to steal a base, put pressure on the Dodgers and that pitching staff? We'll see, but I'm looking forward to it. Again, this is not how I envisioned it, but the bottom line is youngsters are here, and if you were an advocate that you wanted to see what was up on the farm or what was going on in Sacramento, you got it now, and it started yesterday, and it was awesome to see a walk-up win. And, Evan, I'm being real here early. Johnny jumped the gun just like I did with the Warriors lottery. We'll get to that. They were down 3. I was just thought they were dead men walking, and Rojas was in a zone early. I was like, oh, boy. And to their credit, Lamont Wade Jr. hits a home run. They come back and win it in extras.
They did. And look, you needed that win to take the series. And you right now got 2 series victories in a row. It's against Colorado. It's against Cincinnati. But that's where you got to start. That's where the Giants are at right now. Where are you at with the San Francisco Giants? 888-957-9570 is the number. I like seeing more of these kids. I want to see more of them over a period of time. But against the Dodgers tonight, Goo, it is a big barometer series. Where are the Giants? How do they stack up against a team that has been in front of them, again, for the majority of the decade, in a place I don't want to see them, but they just continue to roll. And the Giants, no matter if it's money, if it is, switching managers, does it feel like they're stuck? Does it feel like they're stuck right now in the same place? I wonder. 888-957-9570. Also coming up, we're going to get into the draft lottery with the Golden State Warriors because something needs to be revealed about Guru and his viewing experience.
And I wasn't by myself. I'm proud of people being honest. Even Bonte gave me hey, I didn't like it, Evan. We'll get to it.
Also, watching the NBA playoffs, specifically the Denver-Minnesota series.
Oh, boy.
I actually, it does make me feel a little more optimistic about Golden State. And I'll tell you why. Yeah, I'll tell you why on the other side.
I can't wait.
And, of course, we got Mason Miller coming up at 12 o'clock, closer for the Oakland Athletics. All that coming your way on the other side. Evan Giddings in for Matt Steinmetz or Daryl Gruber Johnson. We're back after this. That segment was